Canada has seen a major roster update with Kyle Larin being replaced by Theo Bair, getting the nod ahead of Daniel Jebison. Truly a surprising, a shocking, and unexpected replacement for Kyle Larin, as Theo Bair was never expected to be the one getting called up ahead of Daniel Jebison. But what was expected was Kyle Larin to be replaced on this roster. Kyle Larin, of course, undergoing major changes throughout his life, as he is, of course, expecting a newborn, which is why he is being left off this roster and has been replaced, as Kyle Larin is expecting a new child, a new kid into his life, as the Larin family is expecting another addition, which is very exciting to Kyle Larin, to his family, and all the best wishes to the Larins as they're expecting a newborn into their life, which is amazing news. But also at the same time, Kyle Larin is undergoing a major life-altering situation where he is going through a new club, not just moving from a club in the same country. He is leaving Mallorca in Spain and heading off to Feyenoord in the Netherlands. So not only is Kyle Larin having a newborn child into his life, he is also undergoing a major life situation where he is having to change countries, change homes. It's a huge change for Kyle Larin. So it is great to see him get replaced on this roster so he can really work on his life, be there for the birth of his newborn child, and be there for the whole change in his club situation, in his child, for his family, and help undergo this major situation. But at the same time, it's very surprising to see Theo Bair back in the Canadian men's national team roster ahead of Daniel Jebison. And I am very excited for it. I am here for it, as I am a major fan of Theo Bair, his player profile, his attributes, and what he brings to this Canadian men's national team. And this is a player in Theo Bair, let I remind you, who hasn't been a part of this Canadian men's national team since November 2024, where Canada played in the Nations League quarterfinals against Suriname. That is a long time ago, and this is a Theo Bair who hasn't been given a lot of opportunities, a lot of call-ups by Jesse Marsch. That isn't down to Jesse Marsch's fault, that is down to Theo Bair's opportunities and performances for AJ Alexander, where he hasn't been given the minutes, he hasn't been given the time to prove himself at the club level. But he is still a very exciting striker. He's still a very interesting striker and has a very good profile that can be a lethal option off the bench, especially for set pieces late in a game. But Theo Bair, who is only 26 years old, leaves Ligue 1 and heads off to a brand new club and a brand new team, just like Kyle Larin is doing. And Theo Bair heads off to a side playing a European competition in Stade Lausanne, a side playing in the Swiss top flight. A huge new chance at life, a new lease at life, fresh air filled into his lungs. This is a great move for Theo Bair, and also getting the CanMNT call-up at the same time. Theo Bair must be just raving with positivity, raving with confidence, and getting the call-up to the Canadian men's national team the same time as getting a brand new club and an opportunity where he will be starting week in, week out. Theo Bair must be just absolutely loving life right now, because he's going to be taking a whole host of confidence away from this call-up and bringing it into his club form. And he definitely should, because there's a legitimate chance he can push to get into this CanMNT roster a year away from the 2026 World Cup. Yes, it's a long shot. Yes, he isn't the expected choice to be called up for the 2026 side, but there's a legitimate chance he could be in that team with good form and with good football. But on the other hand, he was expected to not get this call-up. Daniel Jebison was said to be the one to replace Kyle Larin when he was left off this roster, when he wasn't going to be a part of this team. And it was supposed to be for Daniel Jebison. Daniel Jebison was supposed to be the man. He was supposed to be the striker to step in this window against Romania and Wales to replace the Canadian veteran, the second all-time goal scorer in Canadian history, in Kyle Larin. Daniel Jebison didn't get that nod. And yes, it might be due to injury concerns. Yes, it might be due to poor form. And that is what I think it's down to. For me, this is a statement. This is it really is a very interesting call up and a very interesting decision. To some people, it might not be. It might just be as simple as he's letting Daniel Jebison catch form and catch back to full fitness. But I think it's a statement that Theo Bair gets the nod ahead of Daniel Jebison. This is a player in Daniel Jebison, who has come back from an injury and had 2 poor performances for Preston North End. He has not proved himself with a national team when given the chance in major pressure opportunities. Yes, he was played out of position at times, but he has not lived up to expectations, both at the club and the national team level. So I think it is a statement from Jesse Marsch to give Theo Bair the call-up, to give Theo Bair this opportunity ahead of 2 big friendlies. Yes, it's not against some of the sexiest names in the international scene, such as Romania and Wales, but it's a legitimate size that Canada's going to have to play well against and continue to have to build chemistry a year away from the World Cup. So they're big matches for the Canadian men's national team, and to see who's getting the call-up is still very interesting at this point in time. And I think it might just be down to Jesse Marsch wanting Daniel Jebison to get more minutes, wanting him to get more game time, wanting him to play more regularly with Preston North End and work his way into the starting lineup in training. It could simply be down to that. But I think what is most surprising is that Daniel Jebison was said to be the man. Jesse Marsch was said to have Daniel Jebison penciled in when Kyle Larin was going to be replaced. So it's very interesting. It's a weird tell to see Theo Bair get the call-up ahead of Daniel Jebison. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Should it have been Daniel Jebison? Should it have been Theo Bair? Who would you have called up in the replacement for Kyle Larin? And yes, of course, ahead of them is still Tony Oluwase, Promise David, and Jonathan David. This is for the 4th striker option on this depth chart. But right now, Daniel Jebison looks to be the 6th man up. He looks to be behind Theo Bair and Kyle Larin. Theo Bair looks to be the number 5 spot. In my opinion, I think this is very telling. To you, this might not have changed the depth chart. To me, this is a statement. This is Theo Bair is that number 5 spot. And that could really much flop between each other. It could go back and forth. But if Theo Bair can get some form, if he can play well in Switzerland, if he can play well in a European competition, he very well might have a good chance at coming in for 2026. I know that's not a popular opinion, and I do set probably in that camp on my own, but I'm a big supporter of Theo Bair. I think he has a legitimate chance of playing very well, and yes, he might not get much of an opportunity against Romania and Wales, if not any. It's still a statement of some intent. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Should it have been Jebison? Should it have been Bair? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to smash that like button, guys. It really helps out the content and really supports the channel. Make sure to hit that sub button, guys. We continue to move to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Your support, guys, the community has been absolutely incredible, and I hope to continue to build an amazing CanMNT fan base on the channel. I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.